Hi guys, today we are going to be talking about understanding the workplace and also talking about supply and demand in the workplace. I know most of you have learned supply and demand in economics classes. If you have more of a supply of something, there's going to be maybe less of a demand. If you have less of something which is scarce, then you're going to have a higher demand usually for it. That can also go in the workplace. So, for instance, think about your basketball stars or your musical stars, things like that. A lot of people play basketball, play different sports, but there are only a few of those players that make a lot of money and are really good at what they do to make that money. You think about different kinds of people who are musical stars. Well, there are a lot of people out there that can make music, sing, and they could play instruments, things like that, but only a few of those people in the world are going to make a lot of money playing music. They enjoy it, but they may not make a lot of money. It's those lucky few that get out there and can really make a lot of money. So that's what we're going to talk about today is supply and demand in the workplace. Um, for instance, think about this, automobiles. Do you think you would pay more money for a 1962 Corvette that's in excellent shape or for a 2015 Corvette that's in excellent shape? Um, Usually the cars that are older and really good shape are called antiques. Kind of like Miss Flynn, I'm kind of considered an antique at this point, something that's older. And a lot of people will pay good money for items that are antiques they'll be more scarce. That 1962 Corvette is going to be, there'll be less of them in really good condition than there would be a 2015 Corvette. Um, think about that if you were in a gravel pit and you were picking up rocks, looking at different gravel. Think about all that gravel out there. If you found a diamond within all that gravel, what do you think is going to be worth more, that diamond or gravel? Of course, the diamond's going to be worth more because diamonds are rare; they're scarce. So therefore, the diamonds are going to be worth more money than the gravel. Um, so think of more things that you could envision would be more expensive than others. Think about scarcity. How many superstars there are in a football league. It's very scarce. Think about all those players out there. There are only a few and far between that are in the news making their name known and making all of that money compared to the other players that are in the leagues. So that's what we're talking about, having jobs that are in supply and the demand for them. So usually those people are the jobs are harder to acquire. That's why if you think about the um, superstars in the football league or the basketball leagues, hockey leagues, those superstars are scarce. And so, therefore, they have a lot of competition to get to the places where they are, to get the money they are. And so, that holds the same within the workplace. So, you have to think about those areas there. So, I'm going to tell you a little story real quick about a construction nail. And I thought this was a kind of a good story. So listen to this. Long ago, when homes were made of wood and were first being built, guess what? Nails were very, very expensive. It seems funny to us today, but it's true. Each nail has to be made by hand, or had to be made by hand, pounded into shape by a blacksmith. Though it wasn't difficult, it did take a lot of time. Even a good blacksmith wouldn't be able to make more than a few hundred or in an entire day. On the other hand, now there are machines today that can manufacture thousands of nails in an hour because they're so much easier to acquire now. Because there's a greater supply of nails, the price has dropped substantially. So long ago, when blacksmiths were having to make nails by hand, it would take a long time to make those nails and make them correctly to be able to build a house. Nails were very expensive. But then, as time came around and machines were able to make nails, now they can make nails really fast during the day, and they can produce more. So now nails are not as expensive as they were back in the day. So that's important to remember. With technology comes a lot of experience with things that may not be as scarce as they used to be. So supply, once again, we'll review. Supply is the total amount of a good or service available for purchase, along with demand, one of the two key determinants of price. A change in the price of the product will cause a change in the quantity supplied. Okay, so for instance, think about the COVID-19 that we're going through right now. Supply and demand of these medical masks that you're hearing about in the news. There are not enough of these medical masks. There's not enough supply. So therefore, we have a high demand for those. So what do you think? People are going to probably charge more for these masks because they can get more from it. The Germ-X hand sanitizers, things like that, right now are in high demand. The supply is low, so therefore, there may be jobs now for people to be able to make more of the masks or more of the Germ-X, things like that, because they're in such high demand. So along with the times also has to deal with some supply and demand for things that are made. So I just want you to think about this because as the supply is lower, the demand's going to be higher, especially in certain times in our lives. You think about right now with the masks and the Germ-X, things like that. You're really, really going to have to think about ways when you're looking for a job of what might be a high demand job. There might be something in the supply. I know right now there's actually going to be more jobs created in the United States for people to test other people for the COVID virus. So you have to look at the times also and what might be available. So when you're looking for a job, think about supply and demand, those types of things. So I'm going to give you a little project to work on talking about supply and demand. I'm going to have you look at jobs and see maybe some things that you may want to look at as far as a job goes. Think about, the supply and demand of it. It could be that, if you're looking for a job that's very specific, there may not be a lot of those jobs available. So that's what we're going to talk about in the next couple of weeks. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, or you can even call me on my school phone. I would have no problem with talking to you guys. In fact, I would love to. I haven't seen you guys in quite a while. So if you have any questions or anything like that, just let me know. Otherwise, check Google Classroom because I'll be updating that with questions about supply and demand. The next thing that we'll go over is entrepreneurship, where you could own your own business, and I want you to think about that also. And we'll do some activities with that. But check out the Google Classroom, and we'll be looking at supply and demand this week and maybe next week into entrepreneurship. And we'll continue on from there looking at different jobs that might be available for you guys, especially you seniors that will be out there trying to work or maybe even go to JCC or another college that I might be able to help you with. Anyway, hope you guys are doing great. Miss Flynn misses you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.